Welcome to the Not Superheroes Just Dads podcast. No, we can't fly. No, we can't shoot lasers or pick up giant buildings. But what we can do is help set the foundations for our families, be present for our kids, and combat generational cycles. On this podcast, we dive into everything dad related, from the struggles we deal with as fathers to what our favorite thing to barbecue is. Hello, I'm Sean Laurie. I hope you guys are doing well today. Hopefully you guys are having a great week, great weekend. Whenever you're listening to this. Before we start, right, like always, make sure you like, subscribe, share, tell a friend. You guys know I appreciate the support so much. Today's a little different, right? Today we have an amazing guest, Joel, right? Make sure I didn't butcher his name. I almost butchered his name last time, so I had to make sure I didn't do that. But he's been gracious enough to let me be in this space that he has as well, man. And so this is an amazing thing, man. How are you doing today, though?
I'm good. Yeah, happy to be here.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. So we're gonna dive into a little bit, of your journey, your life, because in my opinion, man, your journey is honestly an inspiration of just really following your faith and your belief in yourself. But before we jump into that, man, who are you? Who would you say you are besides a father, a husband, and someone that is working? Like who is, if someone said who you are, who are you? Like how would you be able to define yourself?
Yeah, who am I? Man, that's
I know it's a little.
It can get deep.
Yeah,
it can get deep.
It can.
Yeah. But man, I don't know. I would just say a go-getter, and like you said, just especially more recent, just leaning into my faith, and somebody that's just able to trust myself, even whenever maybe other people's can't. They're saying, hey, maybe you should go and do this instead. I'm like, no, I see this other path over here. So just being able to hold that confidence in myself, just to be able to continue to make things happen.
That's dope, man. I love it. And speaking of that, because that's a good segue to that. You did. So when we first met, guys, right? I met him actually doing construction. He's not doing that at all. We'll dive into that. But one, I guess, what got you into construction, and then when you was doing it, like, how were you feeling? Like, what was your mindset at? Because obviously you knew that's not something you want to do long term, but like, you had to do it, you had to provide, right? But I guess the first question is, what got you into that field?
In construction?
Yeah.
I was. I think it would just be more the hands-on stuff. I grew up just like playing with Legos. I was that kid. Or the little scientific toys that not every kid would want to be messing around with. Building those little K-Nex roller coasters. That was me. But it was all hands-on, and I was always told, go to college and then find the right path that direction. And with construction, the right path going to college is construction management. And so that's what led me that way. But, as I was in that, it wasn't hands-on at all, whether construction management, that's more in the office, or construction superintendent, that's in the field. But you're just overseeing everything. I try to get my hands in it sometimes, but my manager would be like, hey, look, that's not our job. We're just here to oversee, make sure other people got their hands in the project and they're doing what they need. And that's what, made me take a step back and think, is this really what I want to be doing forever, it's a great career choice, but it just didn't feel right, for where I should be at that time.
So how was that conversation? Let me go back real quick. So, like you said, you were doing that. So when you got home, how was your energy? How were you feeling? Like doing something where you're like, man, I thought it was gonna be more hands-on, but it's not what I thought it was. But it is a good career. It pays, pretty well. Like, were you home and just like, man, okay, this is something that I have to do, or was it something like, damn, I have to go back to work? Like, how was that mindset during that? Because you're kind of realizing, right, it's not what you thought it was.
Right.
So like, how was that for you or was it just, hey, work is work, and when I get home, I get home?
Yeah, no, I'm not just like work is work kind of thing. You
Yeah,
know, there's some people that are like, nah, just strap your boots on and get after it. You
yeah,
know, um, like ignore your feelings, right? But that was never me.
yeah.
That was never me. I would, yeah, kind of dread going sometimes.
Mm,
I mean, I would get home and being on the management side of things,
yeah.
people would, on the job site, oh, your vest is still clean. You ain't working out here. So but I would still get home and feel tired, and it's
Mm,
probably not so much because of um, me doing hard work. I mean, sometimes that did happen, but it was more so like just the mental draining of
yeah,
I mean, maybe not so much beating myself up,
yeah,
but still just like feeling like something's holding me back here,
yeah,
and I'm fighting that resistance.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So yeah, it was. Yeah, I would say that's the easiest way to explain it. There was
yeah.
a lot of resistance, and just fighting that alone it felt tiring at times.
Mm. So when you finally decided, when you was going to make that shift to what you're doing now with real estate, um, I guess it's a two-part question. One is, how did your wife respond to that? And then two, how did the rest of your family? Because sometimes, if you share that with them, but sometimes, we love our extended family, right? But sometimes their vision is different than the
Yeah,
vision we have. So how was that for you?
yeah, I would say, man, but it was easy to explain it to my wife.
Yeah,
She's very supportive
that's
in
dope.
everything I want to do.
That's dope.
Honestly,
Shout out to your wife too, man.
yeah,
That's
yeah, seriously, shout out you.
dope.
She's great. I mean, I just let her know like exactly how I feel, whether I'm liking what I'm doing or I'm not. She's not
Yeah.
gonna make me feel one way or the other. She's like,
Mm,
okay, well that's just how you feel, and that's just the way it is, right?
yeah.
So, um, and she'll tell me like, why don't you try and do something different?
Mm,
And so yeah, it was easy on her side, but yeah, on like you said, on family,
yeah.
um, all of them, like I don't come from a family of I can't think of a single entrepreneur,
Mm,
but I mean there's maybe the one or two outliers, but
yeah.
the majority just follow the corporate job and
Mm,
go to work every day, right?
yeah.
And I kept on hearing that, right? Like, why
Yeah.
don't you go get a good job? Oh, look at your cousin over here, he's getting paid well. Why don't you
Yeah.
go see what he's doing? Go get a job over there. And
Yeah.
yeah, no, every time I would hear that, I was just like, no, that's not for you.
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
need another job.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, it was that's why it was nice to go back home where I knew I could express that
Mm,
with my wife, and just be able to pursue what I knew was right for me,
yeah.
regardless of what anybody else was saying.
Yeah. Yeah. That's dope, man. I mean, because that's a key thing, right? When you're able to have that support at home, right? Like that's a huge, huge. At least for me, speaking from experience as well, like that's a boost of confidence.
Hmm.
It's like all right, they might not see it, but at least the woman I love, the woman I have a family with, right, can see what I'm trying to do and trusts me,
Yeah.
right? Because that can be scary. So that's why I want to ask you too. When you are getting that pushback, um, were you kind of nervous? Were you doubting yourself a little bit, right? Because when I met you, I know you was kind of you was in between, right? So you're doing a little bit of both. So was it hard to make that full plunge of this is the direction I want to go?
It was.
Yeah.
It was hard, and I think that's a good segue because I was very complacent in my job. It was
Mm,
a salary position,
yeah.
and it was just nice to see that paycheck coming
Of
every week,
course.
right?
Yeah.
And it came to the point where the job you met me at over at a Cornerstone,
Yeah.
eventually that job dried up,
Yeah.
and that was it. I was on that project for 3 years.
Mm,
And once that project ended, I was at the office just trying to help them find more projects,
yeah.
right? Because they didn't have much else lined up. And I mean, it was like 5 to 6 months. I was just sitting in the
Wow.
office. And that was probably the easiest time where I could have said, y'all don't have any more work. I'm going to go and do my own thing.
Yeah.
But I never did that.
Mm,
And that was in May or June of 2025,
Okay.
and I was in the office all the way up until November, whenever they made the decision for me and laid me off.
Wow.
Yeah, and I, it was almost immediately. I had a smile on my face, and just try to see it as a blessing more than anything, because I feel like it was something I was praying on for a long time. Like, I want to go this route, real estate full time, that's just where I see myself. That's where I want to be.
Yeah.
But like I said, I was complacent, and it took, just like God pushing me over the edge, it's like, nah, you're not going to dip your toe in. I'm going to push you all the way in, like, that's it. Spread your wings and fly now.
That's dope, man. No, it's funny you said, because that's the first thing I was thinking about. I was like, okay, God was like, this is what you're supposed to be doing. And I'm showing you this is what you're supposed to be doing, but you're having cold feet.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna push you in the water, right? Like, don't worry, I'm make sure you don't drown, but I'm gonna push you in this water, right? And so, man, that's crazy. Just thinking of that transition, especially, you was expecting them to cut you off, or let you go and things like that, and even then, right? Like, I'm thinking, I'm sure when you're going in that direction, your family that is, there's nothing wrong with the 9 to 5, clocking in and out, having, a set schedule, set this, that's great for those that do that. But for you, you, like you said, you want to do real estate and make your own hours and be to help people too, right? And you're getting your hands more dirty in a sense, right? Because you're really out there. You're which we'll dive into as well, but you're able to honestly put a smile on people's faces, right? And do something that's life changing, which is a blessing. But how was that too? Was the family still, not your home, but the extended family, was it still like, hey, I know they let you go, but just go to the next one? Or was it like, hey, yeah, we now, I guess agree with you going in this direction, if that makes sense?
Yeah. It's, I think there was still that in between, I was trying to relay that, like, oh yeah, no, I'm taking this as a sign to just go all in on real estate.
Yeah.
And, they would be accepting of that, but, the following week, hey, maybe it's time to start looking for something else, but honestly, I was at the point where that would kind of go in one ear right out the other. I just, I was like, no, this is it. Don't get me wrong, I was still like real shaky at the time, because that was it. I was all in, right? And there was a lot of uncertainty. Like with real estate, you don't get paid unless there's a sale, and you sometimes never know when that's coming next.
True.
Especially in a slower market like this, it's not for everybody.
Yeah. True. No, that's true, because that fear creeps in, right?
Yeah.
That fear definitely creeps in, and especially for me being a believer, that's when your faith is really tested.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And not saying your wife did this, but I've heard those situations where they're like, yeah, hey, yeah, do it, and then when it goes rocky, they're like, go back to here, right? So it's pretty awesome that you was able to, deal with those valleys, those ups and downs. So I want to ask you as well, as you're doing all this, you also have a newborn, basically, right? At the time. So how was that for you, navigating through all of those things?
Yeah, it was, at first, honestly, while I was still in my past job, there was, the entire time I was, having to go to work all the time, sometimes working as much as like 10 to 12 hours a day.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, and I would tell my wife, oh, I can't wait to, be full-time in real estate, spending time at home, working from home, being there with the kid. and then that day finally came. And then it's like, oh, this is what I wanted.
Like, are you sure? Like,
yeah.
The guy's like, yeah, I gave it to you.
Right. And don't get me wrong. I even would say this every day, like, hey, look, I'm here. I'm able to eat breakfast with y'all now, because before I wake up, make my food, leave something for my wife in the fridge, but they're still asleep, and I'm already headed out the door. But I made it home to work real estate full time, and now we're eating breakfast at the table together. And that's nice. But to be able to work there at the house as well, it was hard because as opposed to being a full-time agent, I started to feel like a full-time dad. It's kind of like pulling me in both directions. And so it was a tough start, but that's where eventually I knew I still had to have that separation. With the family and the business, because mind you, I have a small condo. So I mean, it's right around 900 square foot. So it's like everything's right there. My kid, even if I'm like trying to make a phone call real quick, there he is, like trying to pull me up, But so eventually I just had to, come over here to the office to separate from my home life and my business life. But I still get a lot of time with the family. So it's still really worked out.
That's dope. That's what I was thinking too, right? It's like, you thought that you wanted your life to look a certain way. And God bless you to have that. But then you realize, dang, I can't be as productive as I wanted to with certain things, right? Because at the end of the day, of course, like you love your family, right? So, and of course, if your wife asks you, hey, can you just get this real quick? Even if you're on the phone, you're like, all right, I'm right here. I might as well, right? And so, but now you're able, at least, like you said, have breakfast, right? Or, your son has a doctor's appointment and your wife can't take him or something, right? Hey, you can move things around. You have a little bit more flexibility now, right? But at the same time, hey, when I'm working, I still need to be locked in with work, right? And so just finding that balance. But I think that's dope, man, that you was able to now do basically what you wanted to do. God blessed you to be able to do that, right? When it probably was very, very challenging at times. So I want to ask you, now that you are in that, what is probably what was in the field, what was probably the biggest challenge? And maybe it still could be the biggest challenge for you right now. And what has been the biggest reward for you so far?
In the field,
the field of real estate. Sorry.
Oh yeah. Man, and the biggest challenge. There's been a lot to count. I was thinking about this, how my first few transactions, working with clients here in real estate, have just been like some of the most crazy things that pop up. It's just like, I feel like God's maybe challenging me so much in the beginning, where early on in my career, I'm able to handle these things with so much more ease, like later on. So there's been a crazy amount of challenges, but I've been able to work through them. This month right now, as of yesterday, closed on 3 sales.
Wow, that's
3
dope,
sales.
man.
I closed 1 last year, 1 in January, and now for the month of March, I could say 3.
That's dope. That's dope. So, that's amazing.
Yeah, that right there alone is the biggest reward. I mean, it was just in November. Is whenever we went into this full time, and there's a lot of uncertainty. And man, this is where I could finally feel like I can say things are gonna be all right. So, and like you said, to be able to see the smile on these people's faces whenever we finally make it to the finish line. And so that's where I really saw the difference in what I was doing and what I'm doing now. Because with construction, I mean, there was these big old projects we were working on, and I mean, sometimes I would see the clients, but they were doing things more for the people, and I don't really get to see the outcome to it. Like the the real emotion behind it and all that. But now I do, because it's just one-to-one. It's very personal and very, very much more rewarding at the end, whenever we finally bring the result. So
now with that, like you said, the rewarding part, how do you handle those tough conversations where you have to say, hey, you got to put a little bit more money down, or hey, I don't know, you have this situation with your credit. This has like something that's a snag, right? Because obviously with real estate, it's never just that smooth. It's always something, right?
Always something.
So how do you have those tough conversations? And was it to the point? Has there ever been a point where it was so difficult that you was even nervous having that conversation with them.
Yeah, man, I was so nervous in the beginning, so nervous, but yeah, no, I'm glad you brought that up because that's part of why I see it as like such a blessing that there was so many problems in my first few transactions. Because of those problems, I had to scramble to find the solution, right? These clients are counting on me to be able to get them to the end. And so that's where I've been able to make so many different connections, find so many different resources to now have a solution to almost anything that pops up. I mean, there's still, you know, little things that will pop up now and again where it's like, okay, what do I do here? But, you know, just from those past experiences now, I now know how to work quickly and diligently to be able to bring those solutions or, you know, connect A to B and you know, still make it happen to reach the finish line. So yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of leaning into those conversations and not being afraid to have them. Because I mean, it's not a industry for everybody. It looks nice from the outside, but once you're really in it and you see the types of things that pop up, you know, there's a lot of nerves and emotions in it, but you know, that was another big thing I had to learn for myself too, was to not get my emotions so involved in it in a way where, you know, it's like, it's your situation, but look, here's how we can get you from there to here, you know, without me feeling like I'm in their shoes and I'm also like stressing with them. You know, that was a big hurdle for me, I would say. Because I used to be like so stressed trying to get to those situations, but that's where I had to take that step back and think, well, you know, it's not me in their shoes. Like I know what we need to do to go from, you know, where they're at to where they need to be. So it's not, you know, like the saying, you could lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink.
Exactly.
So that's all my job really is here is like, hey, look, here's the water. You can drink it, but they don't always, you know, exactly. So, yeah, that's where I really started to see more alignment in things just kind of rolling out the way that they should be whenever I took that step back and just being the guide, really.
I think too what that says to you, what that says to me, I'm sorry, about your character is that you care. Right? And so I don't think it's by accident that you was able to close 3 homes, right? With that type of personality, with that type of passion, you care. Obviously, yes, you don't want to, again, you do your part, right? But I could see you like, hey, there's the water, drink it. But you're like, please drink it, right? Like, please drink that water, right? So that just says you care. And so that alone, man, because my grandmother, man, she did real estate for a long time, and that's how she was, right? And like she would lose clients at times because she would tell them the hard truth, right? And she was okay with that. She was like, I don't want to put you in a situation where you have, I don't know, a mortgage that is like $700 over and I know you're going to lose it, right? Like she was that type of person, you know, because she cared, you know, and so I could see that in you as well. Like you really care about the clients that you're helping, man, which is dope. And so I want to ask you as well, bro, is it's a 2-part question. How did the construction field and being a father help you as in real estate?
Yeah. So with construction, I mean, it's all it was project management. So there's a lot of moving pieces, and that's the same thing with real estate. There's a lot of moving pieces. I mean, everything from putting the contracts together to, you know, submitting the offer, being in communication with the other agents. There's inspections, appraisals, lenders. There's a lot of moving parts. Same thing with construction. You know, there's the electrical, plumbing, mechanical, concrete guys, the framers, everything. So you got to keep everything together. Otherwise, things get missing. You know, things get left behind or left out. And I mean, there's a lot of legality in real estate. You can't leave anything out. So it's, a matter of just keeping all the pieces together so nothing falls apart and you make it to the end. And, with my son and being a father, it's there's a lot of, delicacy there. So, you got to really provide that care and patience, really. I mean, that's the biggest ministry right there, is because I would always ask, like, God gave me more patience, and she gave me a son to be, you got to be more patient than ever with that.
Absolutely.
So,
no choice with kids.
yeah. And I mean, patience, I would say that is that was the biggest hurdle with also going into real estate. It's like, patience was the biggest thing because, as mentioned, you never know when the next check is coming.
Yeah.
And especially in a market like this, I mean, I've been hearing it from other people too. Contracts are falling out like at a very high rate right now.
Really?
Yeah, and oftentimes because of financing, or I mean, it could be a number of things, but a transaction that you thought was a sure thing, is like your next check coming, it falls apart, and now there you are waiting, even further.
Yeah.
And that's really whenever I had to start to lean into my faith and was like, just pray that it is coming.
Yeah.
But don't worry so much about when. Just keep on pushing through it, and taking the action, and it'll come.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah. No, definitely. And I'm believing, regardless of whatever's happening as far as real estate, the negative impact that people are experiencing, I'm believing and praying that it's not for you though, right? Like everyone else, oh dang, it's falling through. Dang, that's crazy. I hope it gets better, but not for you, right? So that's what I'm believing in, man. Like I said, just because of your personality and your faith and the way you carrying yourself, man. I'm believing that those hurdles, of course, you're gonna deal with those hurdles, but they're not to the extreme that everyone else is dealing with, right?
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you too, man, because I didn't get to really, I guess, ask this question as like I wanted to. But what was your thought when you found out you was going to be a dad and you was having a son?
Man, when I found out it was a son, I mean, daughter or son, it would have been good either
of course.
way.
It's a son.
It's my son.
It's a mini you.
Exactly. I was about to say that. It's a little mini me, and man, I don't know. It was. I can't say it was like a surprise, because we were at that point where, we were like, okay, I think we're at a good time in our life where it's time to make it happen. My wife she had just graduated from beauty school. She was being an esthetician.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, that happened, and then, we're pregnant, and so...
like done with school at least. So like, cool.
Yeah, exactly. She got the license.
Yeah.
And so, it just all felt like the timing was right.
Mm-hmm.
And I was at a time where I just really wanted to push myself to the next level too.
Yeah.
And I mean, having a kid is like the biggest motivator.
Absolutely.
And so that's where I just, really pulled my boots up higher, and it was just like, okay, let's get to work.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was a big step in the right direction for sure. I mean, looking back to where from the time he was born, I feel like I've progressed. Like, I was just like not taking anything serious prior to that, and now it's I've come a long way. I would say just from that point. That was almost like the start of me being in real estate, I would say. Yeah, but because prior to that, I mean, I was just coasting by.
Yeah.
But that's whenever I just knew it's time to start building legacy here.
Yeah.
And it's come a long way.
That's dope, man. And it was at that point, right, where sink or swim, right?
Right.
Swim. So that's dope, man. So I wanted to ask you, as we're getting ready to close out, another 2-part question. One is, what would you say to that father or that man that is scared to take that leap, right? Something that you did, which you even talked about. What would you say to encourage them when they're like, I really don't like this, and I could do it here, but that unknown is scary, right? Like, I don't know, like, what encouragement or what is it that helped you to be able to really, besides obviously getting let go, right? but what else like helped you? Because even though you got let go, you could have easily went back to what you knew.
Right.
Right. So what helped you to get to that point?
I would say the biggest thing was just keeping my son at the front of my mind, because as mentioned, he's been the biggest motivator, and I didn't want to be seen by him, as he gets older and understand what I did to get to where I'm at. To think, oh, he took the easy way. He went back to what's comfortable, like you said. I wanted him to, be able to look back on what I did and thought, wow, he took the path less traveled. He took the hard route. Even whenever he thought, or whenever everybody else was thinking, oh, that's not going to work out for you, he kept pushing through. And he still made it through all this adversity to get to where we're at now. To, like I said, leave a legacy. We're talking like 5, 10, 20 years from now. And like, wow, we came all this way because of that one leap of faith that he took that day. That one decision that he made to just keep pushing forward in the direction he knew was right for the family.
That's dope.
Yeah,
I like that, man. Before we get ready to close out too, man, let the people know where they can follow. Again, man, this dude's amazing at what he does. So definitely, whatever website, whatever Instagram, let them know, man, where they can find you if they're looking for homes or they know someone that's looking for a home. I definitely encourage you to tap in with my guy.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram, JEV Realtor. And same thing on Facebook. I have my Facebook page, Joel Villanueva. Just search me up. You'll see this face right here. I'm serving San Antonio and surrounding areas, but we're all over Texas in the major metros. We got our team in the Valley, Dallas, Houston. Just reach out and we'll make sure you're taken care of every step of the way.
That's dope, man. That's dope. And what I like to do as well, man, anytime I have a guest, I always want to make sure, man, I give them their flowers, right? So, one, I just appreciate you taking the time out when, you have your family. I think you have a dog too, don't you?
I do.
Yeah, a dog, right? So you have a whole band, right? That you have to worry about, man. And so I appreciate your time, man. And I also just again want to just say that your story is an inspiration, because at the end of the day, being able to take that leap of faith when you could have easily been like, I'm focused on, especially when you're really young, it's easy to just be like, man, I'm about to focus on not saying you're not making the money now, but with that, okay, it's going to be a steady income. It's going to look just like this every time. This is safe, right? And so the fact you didn't is amazing to me. And like what you shared a little while ago, I think your family's going to look back and be like, man, that was the best decision you could have made, and so you're setting the foundation, man, and you're building something very special. And it won't surprise you, man, in 10 years, you have a whole empire or something like that, right? And because you're learning so much already at such a rapid pace, and you're building something, and then again, as long as you continue to put God first and have that genuine heart that I know you have just from us vibing, I know like you have such a, like I say, y'all, when I spoke to him, I think when we first met, we was talking about God, right? And his faith and stuff like that. So just you continue being you, no matter what. There's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be people that is going to see you flourish, and they're going to feel some type of way, and just smile and take that as a blessing, because that means, man, I must be doing something right. The fact that they feel me as a threat, even though I want them to succeed in whatever they're doing. So, I just wanted to encourage you in that, man. Again, like what you're doing is amazing. And I'm one of the people, I like to speak life into people. And so that's what I'm saying. You're going to build something so much more that you don't even see right now. And maybe God is just having me just speak on you already right now, but you're going to build something, bro. And it's going to be one of those things where people are going to be like, dang, I didn't even know this was possible. The family members that wasn't sure, I'm like, dang, he made the right decision. So again, man, I appreciate you, for sure, for just giving me your time, bro. So salute to you for
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Now with that being said, y'all, like always, you don't have to be perfect, but you always have to be present. I'll see you guys on the next one.